The explosion didn't just shake the block, it woke the entire neighborhood. A blinding flash shot straight out of Karen's chimney like a firework gone rogue. The boom that followed echoed across the cul-de-sac, rattling windows and sending birds screaming from trees. A cloud of white smoke belched from her roof, spilling down her siding like fog at a haunted house attraction. Then came the screaming. "My fireplace exploded! This is an attack! Someone sabotaged me!" Neighbors stumbled outside in pajamas, clutching their phones. The Millers rushed out with garden hoses. Old Mr. Benson dove behind his mailbox like he was back in the Marines. And me? I stood on my porch, sipping hot cocoa, watching the chaos I knew was coming. Because this whole mess started 3 weeks ago when someone began stealing my firewood. And if there's one thing I've learned in this neighborhood, you never underestimate an HOA Karen, and she should never underestimate me.
I moved into Willow Creek Estates for peace. Big mistake. The HOA here acted more like a small dictatorship than a community association. Petty fines, strict rules, constant inspections. And leading that little militia was Karen Whitlock. HOA president, self-appointed law enforcement, neighborhood tyrant, the kind of person who warns kids for aggressive bike riding. I tried to ignore her. I worked from home as a mechanical fabrication tech, welding, woodwork, custom parts. My backyard is my sanctuary. A perfectly organized tool shed, a smoker, a small workshop, a neatly stacked firewood pile I split myself every fall. One quiet morning, coffee in hand, I spotted something odd. My woodpile looked smaller. I brushed it off. Maybe I miscounted. Next day, smaller again. By the 5th day, 15 logs missing. None of my neighbors burned wood. The landscapers hadn't been around, and no storm had blown anything away, which meant someone was sneaking into my backyard at night and stealing firewood, like a lumber-loving raccoon. But the truth was worse than an animal. It was a human, a very entitled one.
I checked the gate. Unlocked. I scanned the grass. Footprints. Not work boots, not sneakers. No, these were heels. Only one person in this entire neighborhood walked around wearing heels at all hours. Karen. I wanted to believe it was a coincidence, but the universe laughed in my face, because that same morning, taped to my front door was a bright yellow citation. Violation. Unsightly outdoor firewood storage. You have 72 hours to remove or conceal logs. It was signed, President Karen Whitlock. The same person whose heels were all over my yard, the same person who was probably warming her hands with my stolen oak right that very moment. That woman had some nerve. She steals my firewood and fines me for not having enough of it. That's the day I stopped giving people the benefit of the doubt. If she wanted to play games, I'd play better. I set up 2 hidden cameras, one disguised as a bird feeder, one inside an old outdoor thermometer casing, both angled perfectly at my woodpile. Night 1, raccoon. Night 2, nothing. Night 3, 12:37 a.m., motion alert. I opened the feed, and there she was, Karen, in a spotless coat, hair pinned back, flashlight in one hand, clipboard in the other, because even while stealing, she brought her precious clipboard. She strutted right into my yard, humming some smug little tune. She looked at my woodpile, nodded to herself like she was evaluating property on a reality show, then whispered, "Community resources shouldn't go to waste." Community resources. She stacked my logs neatly in her arms, strutted through my gate, and stuffed them into the back of her SUV, which had an HOA decal on the window, of course. I watched the entire thing in disbelief. She didn't even look around. Her arrogance was so complete she genuinely thought she was untouchable. Oh, Karen, you have no idea what you just started. I wasn't going to confront her. That's what she wanted, a loud fight she could twist into a violation. No, I planned something better. See, in my workshop, I have a box of leftover flash charges from a stage prop project. These weren't explosives. They were small magnesium-based flash pellets used for theatrical effects. Loud pop, bright flash, big puff of white smoke, zero fire risk, safe and legal. So I crafted a decoy log. I hollowed out a long piece of dry oak, fitted a flashbang pellet inside, then carefully sealed it with a wooden plug and adhesive bark dust. It looked perfect. Even I couldn't tell the difference. Then I made 2 more. I placed them in the center of my woodpile where Karen always grabbed first. And then I waited. But before she struck again, she escalated. I woke up to not 1, not 2, but 3 new citations taped to my door. Unauthorized exterior equipment, suspicion of commercial wood activity, potential fire hazard, woodpile too tall. She even included a photo she took through my fence. That's when I realized something chilling. Karen wasn't just harassing me, she was targeting me. And not just because of firewood, because I once told her, politely, that she had no authority to tell me where to store my recycling bin. She never forgot. People like her don't forgive. But that was fine, because I didn't either.
5 nights later, 12:19 a.m. Ping! Motion alert. I opened my phone so fast I almost threw it across the room. And there she was, Karen. Back again. Flashlight, clipboard, gloves. Determined, angry, muttering to herself. This neighborhood would fall apart without me. She grabbed several logs, including all 3 decoy logs, loaded them into her HOA-issued SUV, slammed the door, and drove off. I sat back and smiled. The fuse, metaphorically speaking, was set. The next evening, I was in my living room eating leftover ribs when I heard boom, followed by crack, woof. I looked out the window and saw a column of white smoke shooting out of Karen's chimney like a ghost had been launched into orbit. Then came the screaming. Every neighbor on the block poured out like ants. Kids cried. Dogs barked. Someone asked if North Korea had launched something. And in the middle of it all stood Karen, hair wild, face covered in white soot, looking like a powdered donut. "This is an attack on an HOA official," she screamed. "This is domestic terrorism." Someone yelled, "Should we call 911? Another neighbor shouted, "Call Ghostbusters!" I calmly walked over with a mug of hot chocolate. "You okay, Karen?" I asked. She glared at me so intensely, it felt like she was trying to ignite me with her eyes. "My fireplace exploded," she hissed. "Do you know why?" I shrugged. "Bad firewood?" Her face twitched violently. She choked on her own rage and stormed inside. And from that moment, I knew she wasn't done. Next morning, at 6 a.m., 6 a.m., I woke up to a pounding on my door. It was Karen, in full HOA uniform, holding a stack of violation papers so thick they looked like a phone book. "You are under investigation," she barked. "You will attend an emergency HOA hearing tonight. Mandatory, no excuses." "What's the charge?" I asked. She smirked. "Domestic endangerment. Sabotage. HOA sabotage. Potential eco-terrorism." Eco-terrorism. For a flashbang log. This woman was out of her mind. But I agreed to the hearing. I had to.
Because I wasn't walking in there unarmed. I was walking in with a bombshell. The clubhouse was packed. Not just residents, even people from the next street showed up. Karen sat at the head like a dictator about to announce a new curfew. The board members looked exhausted, like they'd seen this show before. She slammed her gavel. Yes, she brought a gavel, and yelled, "We are here to address an act of violence against the HOA." Murmurs rippled through the room. Then she pointed at me with a trembling, dramatic finger. "He booby-trapped Firewood to sabotage me." People gasped. I calmly took out my phone, walked to the center of the room, and cast the camera feed onto the clubhouse TV. And there she was, Karen, sneaking into my yard at midnight, stealing logs, stealing more logs, coming back again, then again. Angle after angle, date after date, night after night. The room erupted in shocked whispers. Karen screamed, "Those are doctored!" I switched to the next clip. Her loading the logs into her SUV, her muttering, "He won't miss these," her pausing to adjust her heels, her literally looking straight at my bird feeder camera. Someone in the back yelled, "She's done!" A board member cleared his throat. "Karen, this is irrefutable." She shrieked, "He trapped me! He set me up! He's a menace!" I stepped forward. "Karen, you trespassed. You stole property. You illegally recorded me with your own phone.
You issued fake citations. You weaponized the HOA, and then you burned stolen wood in your fireplace?" I paused, and that's why it went boom. The room erupted in laughter. Karen slammed her gavel over and over. "Order! Order! Order!" Someone yelled, "The only order is the one you need to pack your bags." The vice president stood up. "Given the evidence, we vote to remove Karen Whitlock as HOA president." Hands shot up everywhere. Even her closest allies raised theirs. She screamed like a kettle hitting boil, "You'll regret this!" And then she stormed out. For the first time in years, she didn't leave a meeting to applause. Only silence.
The next morning, news spread fast. Karen had filed 6 complaints with the county. She claimed, "I was a terrorist. The neighborhood was under siege. She was the victim of engineered attacks. The HOA board committed political treason. The explosion was a targeted assassination attempt. The county rejected all of them. Even better, the fire inspector came. He analyzed the debris in her fireplace. His official statement,
Combustion event initiated by embedded pyrotechnic material within the log. Firewood appears modified. Possession of altered combustible material is illegal."
She stuttered. "But I didn't buy the logs." He asked, "Where did you get them?" She said nothing. Because she couldn't. The inspector wrote her a warning and left. But the neighborhood gossip didn't. Someone snapped a photo of the warning sticker on her garage door, posted it in the community group chat. Within minutes, it had 87 likes and comments like, "Karma's finally catching up. HOA explosion speed run." She got toasted. Karen stayed inside for days, blinds shut, lights off, pretending she didn't exist. But the final twist came 2 weeks later. A moving truck. She was gone, packed up, red-faced, humiliated, driving away. As she passed my house, she slowed down, rolled her window halfway, and hissed, "You haven't seen the last of me." I raised my mug. "If you come back, bring your own firewood." Her tires screeched as she sped off, and the neighborhood cheered, literally cheered. People came out of their houses clapping like we just defeated a supervillain. The lesson. Now, on cool evenings, I sit by my backyard fire pit, watching real logs burn, hearing neighbors laugh. and feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Because sometimes in an HOA, the only way to handle a bully is to let their own behavior blow up in their face. Quite literally. If you enjoyed seeing Justice Served, make sure you hit subscribe, because the next HOA nightmare might just be wilder than this one. Don't miss it.